Oh boy, another book, another dollar. That's what that's what my dad always said.
Well, right after you said that, my intro was going to sound really professional because I was going to hello and welcome to another episode of Sam and John's Book Club. Today we will be proceeding with our discussion and review of Brandon Sanderson's Words of Radiance, the second book in the Stormlight.
Oh my, it's going crazy. People are dying, lightning striking kids.
Yeah, yes, it has.
I feel like this dichotomy
somewhat,
is good.
No, this dichotomy it does exist, and that is something I cannot dispute. Nor would I. All right, John. Hey, welcome to the thing. Wow, beginning of part 5.
Right, first half. We're almost there. We're almost at the finish line.
Getting to a climax. I can feel the climax coming.
I've ordered the other books, and they gotta get here sooner, because if I finish this one, I gotta start the next one. You know, I'm gonna be insatiable, but I will have to be satiable for the sake of metering this podcast by section.
Well, I mean, let's get started with some interludes, and actually for this first one, I do have a little song that I prepared.
Oh, perfect.
So,
okay.
Let me just get that going. How's that sound? Can you hear that?
Yeah.
All right. This is from Elokar's perspective. He's the one singing. I'm just channeling him. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
My lover's down in Alethkar. Sorry, what's the next line? There it is. It's been years since she... let me start over.
Okay.
My mother lives in Alethkar. It's been years since I've seen. Her ardents are a lazy bunch of fools, and she's one shitty queen. That's all I got.
Okay. Not to, I liked it. That was very good. Not to take the wind out of your sails, but when you repeated it the second time, you did say mother instead of lover.
Damn it!
So, your boat has come to a standstill out on these open waters, but it's really pretty out there.
I'm so embarrassed now, John. Oh, stupid! Alright,
yeah, so basically, Lon and Pi, there's some ardents. Pi's new, Lon's the old guard, and he's got it great. They're serving Elokar's wife, the queen, and she's bad at her job just like her husband.
Yep, runs in the family.
They all just, it's what's the word?
The apple doesn't fall far from the other apple it got married to.
Hereditary, but not really, yeah. So... Lon is like, listen, we can do whatever we want, you just gotta tell the queen she's right all the time, and we're good to go. And Pi's like, queen's bad and I'm gonna tell her.
Birds of a feather flock together.
Oh!
That's a much better thing to say than the apple thing.
Wow, this song's gonna have a second verse in no time.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pi's like, no, I'm gonna tell her that she's bad, and Lon's like, please don't, and she's like, okay, fine, I'll play your little game. And then the next day she makes this gigantic mural thingy on the floor comparing the queen to the 10 fools and writing essays on how she resembles each one and all the wrongdoing she's done. Mm-hmm. And then she gets executed because what did she think was going to happen? And then riots start. Oh boy, oh geez, oh my.
Basically, ever since Elukar and Dalinar headed off to the Shattered Plains and she's been left to rule Alethkar as she pleases, the city has fallen into just disarray, and they're living in total excess, and it's disgusting. It's like very decadent, So this Arden has come along, and she's, no. But hey, all right, whatever. That's pretty much it. We got it. We got the idea.
Right. Yep.
Moving on, we have another little interlude with Venli,
our friend Eshonai.
Yeah. Venli is acting the same as she did, despite the fact that she's taken on storm form.
Right.
What's
her
up with that?
personality is remarkably unchanged. Has she been in storm form before, Eshonai muses?
Yes.
Perhaps.
Why do Venli and her scholars seem like they've held this form before? Bum, 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 bum. So I'm sure we'll learn more about them. Like, Venli at first, felt it was just like a name that came up, right? Like, oh Eshonai's sister, sure. But now
Right.
Venli is becoming a more and more important character, and I'm starting to become more and more certain that there's like crazy stuff in her past, just like I'm sure there is in everybody's. Because
Well, and she seemed very suspicious from the beginning because when she discovered Stormform, she like insisted that she be the one to take it and was like pissed when Eshonai, was the one to take it first.
yeah, so it almost makes me wonder when they were in their scholarly form. Were they actually in that form, or were they in another like form of power that just resembled it, similarly to how Dole form resembles Parchment,
sure.
Or something like that? Like, what do they have going on? I don't know.
Yeah, something suspicious is afoot.
And then we get another Taravangian bit, and holy moly, I think this alone has like half my notes for the entire reading because
same.
I'm just all about that Taravangian.
Chapter. Yeah, Taravangian is so interesting.
We haven't heard anything about him since the end of the last book, the very end.
Right, yeah, which is crazy. The very first note I had in this was like, oh, Seth is going to come kill him. This is the action he's going to do of his own free will. That was my little pre-chapter guess, but let's see what actually happens. So Taravangian has this condition.
in a topical sort of way, Taravangian occasionally has to take tests, to just like our own president. I'll cut that out. Let's not make this political. All right.
Yeah.
So Taravangian has to take a test every day to see how smart he is, because just like we discussed, he is more or less smart on any given day, just totally at random, it seems.
One day he's the Sultan from Aladdin, and one day he's like a horrifying criminal mastermind killing people for their death rattles,
Yes.
Quite a thing he's got going on.
And he is like legally limited by the people around him based on his capacity on a given day. He is or is not allowed to make policy. He is or is not allowed to like interact with certain people.
Right. And as we find out kind of at the end of this chapter, it's basically like a bell curve. So most days he's pretty average intelligence. But it's like on a logarithmic scale. So as you go out towards the end of the bell curves is when he's either really stupid or really smart.
Yep, and there are extreme outliers where he is like so smart or so stupid that it's just very unreasonable, actually.
Right.
Also, he knows that God is dead, so he and Dalinar should start a club. When he gets too smart, when he gets smarter, he gets less empathetic. Which is kind of interesting. I don't know if this is a commentary by Brandon Sanderson or is this part of this guy's like specific boon/curse from the Night Watcher.
Night Watcher. Yeah. Because he gets like very, like logical to the point of being unethical in that he's like when he's super smart he's like eugenics is great.
Yeah, when he gets too smart he wants to do eugenics. Yeah, dude. Man.
And it's like you can see why that's logical from a purely unethical point of view.
Well, yeah, totally. Like I imagine that if I were some sort of alien superintelligence who came to Earth and didn't care at all about how people felt and was looking at it like some sort of game, like how do I min-max the human race, right? I would probably do eugenics on them, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that's where Taravangian is when he gets crazy smart. And
so that's one of the reasons he's not allowed to make policy when he's crazy smart. Is obviously that won't go over well, despite the fact that he thinks he can win people over with his brilliant arguments for these things.
And one day, on one of those outliers we mentioned earlier, he got so super duper duper smart that he was basically able to predict the future just by like reasoning out things about the world.
Right. He was making like educated guesses.
He spent the entire day.
Man, was he good at math?
Just putting notes down on every surface he could find, and this was called
like
the
he couldn't be
diagram.
stopped. Yeah.
Where he basically listed out all the things that had to happen to stop the end of the world.
And so that's more or less what Taravangian has been trying to follow from like his crazy super smart past self, like. But these are like notes written over notes, and he like came up with a language so he could decode certain things at certain times, and like crazy, overclocked Taravangian.
Yeah, he was thinking on like such a crazy level that it's now impossible for even smart Taravangian to fully interpret what past Taravangian meant, right?
Right. Yeah, it's like such an outlier that it's difficult to understand. But he's doing his best.
It's not just Taravangian who's living his whole life based on this diagram that he created on this day of supreme intelligence. He actually has a whole coalition, a whole like organization of people who are all like, well, dang, yeah, the diagram, I mean, this is our best bet, right? And they're all totally dedicated to it. And I think it's kind of crazy that I mean, Taravangian has this like crazy condition. You know, he's like the weight of the world is on his shoulders. He you know, again, is a character who believes that the path he's taking is the only one that'll like save the world, which I feel like is becoming more and more common as we meet more and more characters.
Again, join the club, yeah.
And I feel like even Taravangian is more trusting than Kaladin.
Yeah.
Right? Like I feel like Taravangian, like he has this whole group of people who know all about his dark secrets. He trusts a bunch of people pretty explicitly, right? Because he realizes that he has to trust people to achieve his goals, right?
Yep.
And I mean, it took Kaladin ages to even trust Bridge 4, didn't it? It took like half a book.
Yeah, Kaladin's just too jaded, but Taravangian, he's got no such misgivings, I suppose.
Yeah. So now on Taravangian's smart days, he interprets the diagram. And on his stupid days, he just chills around and gains trust because people like stupid Taravangian. Stupid Taravangian is very charismatic.
Right, he's more empathetic, yeah.
And
so today is a slightly better than average day, I guess.
Yeah, he's like average, yeah.
Yeah.
And he has gone to Vedenar, the capital of Yakaved.
Right, and he's walking around, and all these soldiers are like super happy with him after all of these kings have been assassinated and everything. Like, he's totally spun the whole world to love him, just as the diagram, predicted they would.
Well, and when he sent Zeth out, it was for the express purpose of destabilizing the rest of the world, right? And like Checkamundo, my bro.
That worked out great. Yeah,
at least Yakaved thoroughly destabilized. A stiff breeze would knock the country over at this point, or maybe it's already on the ground and he's just picking up the pieces.
All right, so kind of skipping ahead to the whole point of this chapter, and we can kind of go out of order here, but basically he's trying to do exactly the same thing that Dalinar is doing, just in a massively different way, because he spoke to Gavilar about Gavilar's visions from the Way of Kings.
Yeah.
And he's like, gotta unite them. Hey, this is the way I'm doing it.
Unite them.
Yeah,
they're both
like it or leave it. Yeah.
The Taravangian's scope is just a bit bigger than Dalinar. Dalinar's like, okay, the High Princes, and Taravangian's over here like, whoa, dude, you're thinking too small. I'm going to unite the whole freaking world, all of Roshar, right?
Right. And
his means are a little bit brutal, yeah.
Right, yeah. He's taken a slightly different approach. So sure enough, due to my brilliant prediction, Zeth has returned. Oh boy, oh my. And he's just out there with all these other soldiers. Could be seen at any time, just strolling around the assassin in white.
Yeah.
And he's not wearing his typical white assassin garb, so he's harder to spot, but people have, an idea of what he looks like. And he's like, hey, Taravangian, can we have a conversation? Because I'm feeling really bad about all those assassinations you made me do.
Yeah. It turns out that maybe I'm not truthless after all, and maybe there's no reason I should have been listening to you in the first place, and you've really kind of scarred me in a big way. So I'm like feeling maybe kind of unstable, kind of totally insane. Maybe I'll kill everyone here. I don't know. It's like, it's up in the air.
Right. Yeah. So can we just like have some tea, hash it out?
Yeah.
And so basically all of our theories are confirmed in that Seth, had some idea about the Voidbringers returning, something about the Knights Radiant, etc., etc. And all of the Shin were like, nope, that's not true, you're a liar. And being a liar is a fate worse than death in this culture. You're truthless, and you have to do whatever the people that hold this oath stone say, We'll put those pieces together at some point. And so now he's like, well, I fought a guy who looked like a Radiant, which means I would write, which means I'm not a truthless, which means I could do whatever I want, and I'm mad at Taravangian because he made me kill a lot of people, which I didn't want to do. And Taravangian's like, no.
And Taravangian, he freaking pulls it out, right? Like he was about to get killed, and then he's like, no, wait.
And he just finds the perfect explanation.
You are truthless. And Zeth is like, come again? And he says, well, that guy you fought clearly just had one of the honor blades, doy. And Zeth is like, and Zeth is kind of ready to accept this, right? Because here he is on a knife's edge, falling between two different sorts of madness, right?
Yeah.
And this kind of brought him back to the madness he was more comfortable with, right?
Right.
So I
he
think
could fall back onto the side of the fence he knew.
I think he was happy to get this explanation where he's like, okay, everything I've been doing has actually had I am truthless after all. I was following all the orders for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he seemed happy to accept that.
when he fought Kaladin, he was like, okay, full stop, I gotta figure this out. But yeah, I think he was sort of looking for any explanation that could bring him back into his comfort zone, kind of, because the other side is so much worse.
Yeah.
Meaning that all the people he killed was actually his fault, and that he didn't have to do it at all.
Yeah, so Taravangian clutched the W there.
Right.
You know.
And now he
was throwing pretty hard. But,
yeah. He now surmises that, like, you know, due to a passage in the diagram, that the knights returning would be people that survived situations they shouldn't have. And immediately he's like, Bridgman's got to be one of those. Isn't there a really well-respected Bridgman? He's got to be the guy. Keep Zeth away from him, or he'll realize that he's not truthless.
And
I was like, whoa, this is average intelligence he's doing all this with?
This kind of doubles up on Teft's whole cult he used to be a part of, right? Look for those who are surviving where they shouldn't, right? Well, then again, I guess that's because they have Stormlight powers that make them survive.
Right. Yeah, Teft's cult definitely misled, but...
When Taravangian does mention the Honor Blaze to Zeth, Zeth says, could it be one of the other 7? Did you get that line? Where Zeth said one of the other 7?
Yep.
So there are 10 total Honor Blades.
Yeah.
When Zeth says one of the other 7... Now, I read this a couple of days ago now, but I was under the impression that it sounded like Zeth was implying that his people, the Shin, held 8 of the Honor Blades originally, and Zeth now has one of them, and there are 2 unaccounted for, but we know that Taln has one, and theorize that Shallan has the other.
Right.
So are we... So Zeth has one. Check, check, check. Talon has one.
Right.
Check, check, check.
Fact.
Shallan probably has one.
Almost definitely has one.
And the other 7 are all over in Shinovar? Is that what you got out of it?
Yeah, I mean, like, it seems like... Because I was thinking that only the one that Zeth had been accounted for at all. But now, yeah, it sounds like all 10 of them, after, you know, the very first reading of the first book, they were just like, oh, these blades were just sitting out for whoever to grab.
Yeah, there were 10 of them. They were all just, like, stabbed into the ground in a circle. Well, I guess 9, right? Because Talon still had his.
Right.
So I guess
he hadn't made it back,
the Shin people ended up finding... Maybe they were in Shinovar when that
happened.
Right,
they must have been, in that area. So, yeah, that's basically what I got from that.
All right. Yeah, so now Zeth, now that he's been kind of diverted from the truth, right? He's like, all right, back to business. I'll go kill Dalinar after all. Don't worry about it, bro. Taravangian's like, woof. And there's a fun line about how a lady is like, oh, man, I guess you're not average after all. That was some pretty smart thinking. And Taravangian was like, no, you just underestimate a person of average intelligence. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. Because, I mean, honestly, people are pretty smart on average. You know, it's fun. You know, you like to joke about, like, everyone's an idiot, right? And you like to... There's like this... There's one quote from some comedian where you know, imagine how smart the average person is, and now ogle at the fact that half of them are stupider than that.
Right.
You know, but, like, honestly, people are pretty smart, I feel, you know. Right. Yeah,
that's an easy, like, comedic trope to just assume everybody is dumb. Or at least everybody, except for you, you know, I think everybody thinks that they're smarter than everyone
Everybody
else,
is a Squidward, you know. Everybody fits the Squidward archetype.
Right.
Okay. I had some line in here. I wrote down, had Helleran been radiant? Was Helleran a radiant for some reason?
There was some mention of Helleran in this chapter.
Like, Taravangian had been aware of him. He was, like, included in Taravangian's research, and Taravangian asked, had Helleran trained Shallan?
Right, yes, that's what it was.
So, was Helleran radiant? And
I mean, Helleran's more important than
if he
just
was,
a random
why
guy.
did Kaladin kill him so easy? You know?
Right, yeah. Yeah, Helleran definitely still has a lot to be told. I mean, from, like, you know, this whole book we got Shallan's, you know, tragic backstory TM in the flashback chapters, but we still don't know pretty much all of the questions we were asked originally, other than, like, Helleran was the shardbearer that Kaladin killed, like, still that weird light in the vault that is her mother's soul.
Yeah, we better get one more real informative Shallan flashback in this book, or I'll be disappointed.
Well, I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll find out.
Yeah. Taravangian has agents in the Alethi war camps. He probably has them all over the world. He's very well informed. That bastard son of the king of Yakaved who had the multicolored eyes. He's alive. His name is Redin. Redin. He's surely going to come up again later, right?
Yeah, he's got a part to play for sure.
And the only... Taravangian becomes the king of Yakaved because...
The old king is dying anyway.
Yeah, and the only other things I want to talk about from Taravangian's little chapter here, which was just so informative, are a couple of things that came up. Somebody mentioned to him that the death rattles are slowing down, right?
Okay.
And he said, is Moalock on the move? Right?
Missed that.
You missed that?
Yeah.
It sounds like there's some creature called Moalock, and its proximity to people causes the death rattles. And he also mentioned that it might be going back to sleep or something. It might be going into a slumber where seemingly it would not influence anybody at all. And similarly, he mentioned another... This one he actually called a spren, called Nergaul. Nergaul. And he said that it sounded like this creature causes the thrill.
Right. Yeah, that was
again based on proximity.
Explicit.
Right? He was saying, well, maybe it's located in Yakaved because the thrill seems pretty strong here, you know?
Right, yeah.
And Yakaved borders Alifkar, so it could, cause a thrill in both places.
Right. Have a good radius.
And I believe he called these creatures like the Faceless or the Nameless or something. Do you remember what that was?
No, but it was something like that.
All right, I'll look it up just to be sure.
Yeah, I think I can find it. I'll look for it real quick while we
just based on this whole book, my guess is that there were 10 of these guys, and they all cause something evil and great. But they sound like really powerful evil spren that kind of cause men to like sin in various ways. If this book weren't so focused on the number 10, I would assume there were 7 of them, one for each sin. But then again, death rattles aren't really a sin, are they? So, I don't know. And after that, that's all I have for this incredibly informative interlude, which was honestly my favorite part of the reading.
The Unmade?
The Unmade. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's all I got for this too, though.
All right. Well, hey.
Yeah, very informative, though. Love those just lore dumps.
I love the lore dumps. I love Taravangian so much.
Yeah. It's a good combo chapter right there.
Yeah.
I'm itching to get to the 3rd book and the 4th. Oh.
Yeah, dude. And well, first we have to get to the 2nd and a half book.
Well, that's true.
And I mean, hey, Chinga Bablinga, now we are back in the Shattered Plains, and it's just about time to set out on a big expedition to maybe all die.
Yeah. It's time for the big assault. So Dalinar, Royan, or however you say his name, Royan, and Cerberial are all coming on the trip. Oh, and so is Aladar. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
That doesn't make a lot of sense. He was so team
Sadius,
yeah, but now he's down to clown.
Yep. And he was just like kind of trying to convince himself that Dalinar was right all along, and so now he's like, yeah, I guess you were. I'm here for it.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. Lopin is climbing in my list of characters I like. He has a hilarious line about how like some of my relatives are women, and I don't remember the context now, but I wrote down that was funny. Right. I must have thought it was funny.
Yeah, no, it was. Don't remember the context either. But...
Yeah. Also, there was another line in here that made me think maybe there's some supernatural explanation for Renarin's condition.
Oh yeah, there was like a throwaway line almost where Kaladin was like, "I gotta ask him more questions about that. It seems a little weird." Yeah. And then just breezed on by.
He was like somehow insinuating that his seizures were like not the way that condition normally manifests. It was like a little different.
Yeah, somehow. He was like, "That's not how epilepsy normally looks." Yeah.
So it makes me wonder: does he got something bigger going on? Maybe Night Watcher related? I don't know. I'm starting to become suspicious of the Night Watcher being influential in everybody's life.
Right. Yeah.
Also, we learn that Moash is in charge of watching the king while Kaladin recovers and everyone else goes out on the Shattered Plains with a team Moash selected. So, like, this honestly could not have been a worse decision by, I think, Teft. I think Teft was the one who chose Moash.
All right.
Oy, not good.
Yankees, Shnikes, Rip Elokar, yeah. So, Kaladin is still still got googly eyes for Shallan. Needs to cut that out.
Yeah, Kaladin. Let's not do love triangles in this book series. Okay, there's a lot going on already.
On.
We don't need this extra drama.
So Dalinar is like talking to Amaram. He's like, "Hey, let's go talk to Kaladin real quick.
Yeah,
we need to sort that out."
Yeah,
let's just have Amaram's like, "I left a casserole in the oven." He's like, "Now, come on, we're going."
That casserole's gonna burn, and you're gonna like it. And Amaram's like, "Yes, sir." And he comes over, and they have a nice little chat where Dalinar totally exposes Amaram as a bad guy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He's like, "I think you owe this man an apology," and Kaladin's like, "This is gonna be humiliating. Are you serious right now?" And he's like, and he was like, "Not you." Big curtain reveal.
Swing, and yeah, it turns out that back when Amaram had talked to Town, he had heard from the guy that Town had at one point talked about a stash of shard blades, and Amaram had gone to seek them out, which we knew about, right? That had come up in a past chapter.
Yep.
It turns out that Dalinar had actually hid a shard blade out there on the plains somewhere, and when Amaram went to grab it, Dalinar knew that Amaram had been keeping this a secret and even kind of lying about it. When in fact Dalinar had already boned the shard blade, and he summoned it and was like, "You tried to steal this, you jerk. If you were going to lie about this, you'd probably lie about other stuff, maybe this Kaladin stuff."
Amaram's whole thing is that he's the most squeaky clean guy, and the only bad thing he's ever done in his whole life that anybody knows about was not helping Adolin in his unfair duel.
Yeah, but even for that, he kind of came up with an excuse,
right, and this was the one thread Dalinar needed to unravel the whole rug.
Yeah, so Chichinga, Dalinar exposes him, and it was all, honestly, it felt a little bit anticlimactic.
Oh, it was so anticlimactic. Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
I was like, really? Amaram went out and grabbed a shard blade out of a hole, and now you just tell him that you're mad at him, and he walks away?
Right. And Dalinar was like, "Yeah, we'll deal with that, but we got bigger things, and we can't lock him up. He's just going to cut himself out. We'll find him later."
The result of that was really that Dalinar gained back Kaladin's trust, more than he already had, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he made Amaram take his cape off, and that was pretty much the result.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, it still kind of feels good that Amaram has been exposed, and Dalinar and Kaladin are on the same page.
Yep. I'm glad it happened. Not as spicy as I would have hoped for, but
also Dalinar has bonded a shard blade again, which is very good timing because Zeth is on the way.
Yeah.
But he says that it feels wrong.
Yeah, he was like, something feels unnatural about it.
And you know what feels, shard blades also feel wrong too.
Oh, Knights Radiant. Honor Spren bound people.
It makes me wonder if maybe, I don't know, maybe Dalinar's got a Spren following him, and it's still kind of stupid, and he's not really aware of it. Because Kaladin, Syl was following him for years before he really...
And we almost get a little bit of a hint that might be happening, but we'll get there.
So, who's to say?
Yeah, you might have to bleep these out, but we've already had some problems. My last note of the chapter is, oh shit, Dalinar knows Amaram is a lying baby bitch boy.
Heck yeah, dude.
And that's pretty much that whole chapter.
Okay, now there's a part in the middle here where I got so focused on the book that I started forgetting to take notes.
Yeah, no, it gets hard because I don't want to stop reading to have to write this stuff down.
What I'm saying is that I actually don't know exactly what the breakup of chapters is. I have the rest of my notes are only divided into 2 blocks, but I'm sure there were more chapters left than that.
Yeah, we got 5 left, but that's okay.
Yikes. Okay.
So chapter 77 is where Shallan's putting all of her stuff together in the carriage after she decides not to ride the horse. She's getting googly eyes for Kaladin. She needs to cut that out.
She wasn't getting too many googly eyes for Kaladin. She had a line about how Aelin was different from Kaladin, which isn't a bad thing, of course, and she...
Right. And she was like, there's something about him. I can't even put my finger on it, so it doesn't matter. And then there was a whole paragraph in italics that was poetry about how great Kaladin was. I was like, whoa, settle down.
I mean, yeah. The thing is that Kaladin has this whole... He inherited all this kind of cleverness from his mom that Shallan is really into. That's her whole thing, right?
Yeah. And, Adolin, he just doesn't have that. And that's, well, he does, but not...
By the way, can we talk about
way.
how Kaladin's mom, it has like some mysterious background? You know, she came from some faraway place and married his dad, right? And people have said in the past that Kaladin has an error of like, you know, he talks like a Light Eyes, like he acts like royalty or something. Is Kaladin's mom some sort of like foreign runaway princess?
Could
and
be.
Is Kaladin the heir to some foreign throne? Is what I'm wondering.
Surely. Yeah, I mean, there's something.
I feel like that's gonna come up. I don't know for sure, but I just think about it kind of more than I should.
Yeah, that whole chapter with his mom way back in one of his flashbacks in the first book where he's like cleaning crime off the roof or something, I was like, oh, this is a whole angle that we're not getting nearly enough information about, but is being mentioned for some reason.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't know how long it's going to take until we hear about Kaladin's mom again, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It might be ages.
Might not even be until books in the future, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Gaz gets Shallan a copy of the Words of Radiance. Nice.
Yes, wonderful. Hopefully she will read some of that to us, the readers.
Right, yeah, so it's got notes about all of the Orders of Radiance, but it's all kind of hearsay because it's been years and it's just people passing down what they remember.
Yeah.
But hey, probably a useful resource nonetheless. It's the name of the book.
Navani hops into the carriage and they have some nice mother-daughter, substitute mother, substitute daughter bonding.
Right, a little surrogate bonding, yeah.
And I think this is the point where Shallan does a pretty darn good job at being an open and communicative individual.
Yep, yeah. She tells Navani that Yesna was a Radiant, or at least that she had surge binding powers. She could soul cast without a soul caster.
Wait, does she tell that to Navani?
Yep.
Oh, right, and then she only tells Dalinar that she's a Radiant.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Spoilers.
Yep. That's like the very next thing that happens, though. So basically, Navani is helping her with the whole Shattered Plains project, but she's not going to take over like Shallan fears.
Oh, there was a line about the Voidspren. They are the souls of those ancient, those who gave of themselves to destroy.
Yeah.
This is about the lightningy red spren that that the
or at least
Parshendi are
the Storm
handling.
Spren are a variety of Void Spren, not the only kind. But yes.
Now, when it says they are the souls of those ancient, those who gave of themselves to destroy, this makes me wonder: like, are these Spren? Were they literally like once people? Are these actually
some other
people's
kind
souls?
of beings that like sacrificed themselves for the sake of destruction?
Yeah, but I don't think all Spren are like that, right?
Yeah, that doesn't jive with my idea of Spren at all.
Yeah, so this could be something, I don't know.
Yeah.
T-minus 3 days on the spooky countdown.
The doomsday clock, yeah. Yep.
And then my next note is T-minus 1.
Yeah, no, we are ticking down quick. There's a little bit that happens in between those two mentions.
All right.
So Shallan tells Dalinar about his powers. He like cries. He's like, "I'm not crazy. I'm so happy. You're the new captain of the Radiance." She's like, "Whoa, hey, slow down there. I got ghost blitz to figure out."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay, I won't tell anybody now because we got a war to fight."
You know, yeah, and she makes a really good point. She's like, "My powers are really only useful if nobody knows about them." And he's like, "Well,
oh yeah.
How am I gonna fool people?" And she's like, "Yikes, Dalinar's
and Dalinar's like,
"Fool people, hold the phone."
Lying is against the 10 Commandments, young lady.
Exactly.
Anyway,
next you're gonna try committing adultery.
Honor your parents, goddammit.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Parshendi are here and they're spooky. Oh boy.
Yeah,
so they're just scouting. They see they got the red eyes. They bring back a corpse, and they're like, "These are straight up Voidbringers, aren't they?" Uh-oh. And who's back but one such Shen, or Relaine, as he is called.
Yes, and he's comes sat on a rock, and he wants to talk to everybody and kind of help team humans.
Right. He's all about it. He doesn't really understand what Stormform is, but he tells them that Stormform's the thing that's happening. He kind of explains how forms work, just so they have a working understanding. So it gives them pretty valuable information, honestly. Like,
oh yeah,
a lot more than they had going in.
And he even kind of draws them up not a map, but he describes to them like the geography,
and says that he'll lead them straight to, the Parshendi home base, basically. Yeah. He's in war form. He's no longer dull form, so it's easier for him to tell people what's what.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much that whole next chapter.
Is the next chapter back with Kaladin?
Yep. Yeah, now we're in chapter 80. Yeah, so the plains are a city.
This is the next one I have
Shallan
notes on.
Yo, this is the thing. This is actually a city that's been weathered and covered in stuff over the years, you know.
Yeah.
And, one day on the Doomsday Clock. All right, go.
Okay. Elhokar comes to visit Kaladin.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, some other stuff happened first, but whatever.
Well, yeah, it's pretty much, we're caught up.
Elhokar is like, how do I be a hero? You're so amazing. How do I be like you? And Kaladin is, like, really mean. Like, there's a little thing that some people do, and it's where you lie a little bit to make other people feel better. And Kaladin does not do that at all. No.
But I was kind of here for it, honestly.
Really?
I mean, like,
I felt kind of bad about it.
Well,
Elhokar was like, how do I be a good king? How do I help people? And Kaladin was like, well, step one, stop being such an idiot loser. I hate you. And it was like, oh my god, Kaladin, relax.
I mean, I sort of saw it because, like, right before this, Kaladin's walking around in the rain. He's trying to get the strength back in his leg and whatever.
Yeah.
Just trying to be active. And he decides, he's like, all right, I'm going to stop being edgy. He doesn't say it that way, but he's like, I'm going to stop whining. You know, I've made it through so much adversity, still left me, whatever. I'll carry on. And I was like, all right, we'll see how long that lasts. But, you know, then he goes into this, and Elhokar is just like, man, you do everything right, I do everything wrong. That just feels bad. Like, tell me how to be better at this. And, like, I don't know, I didn't feel that bad for him, I guess, but I was like, he doesn't even know where to begin, you know? Like, he doesn't even have the capacity at this point to, like, get to where he wants to
he's
be.
trying to begin, though. He's trying to reach out to a person he respects, someone who does stuff right, and he's trying to say, like, please, teach me, show me the path so I can start walking down it, right? And Kaladin's like, no, you idiot, I hate you. And it's like, dude, come on.
Well, okay.
Kaladin's like, you couldn't walk down that path if you tried, you dumb baby.
Yeah, he does go a little far.
He's
He's
so
like,
mean.
am I a bad king? And Kaladin's like, yes, which is a fact, right?
Yeah, you
And,
are
like,
a bad
Elhokar
king.
knows that.
And I can't even think of a way for you to be better. You
Right.
dumb
Yeah, I
idiot.
guess at that point he kind
It's
of lays it on a little bit.
Kaladin was so mean. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, I don't know. I guess I kind of read this whole chapter in a light of Elhokar being like, man, I wish I was better, but I just don't know what to do. And I guess it was more of him being like, Kaladin could show me and I will be good, and then more hopeful than I was reading it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because when I read it, I was like thinking he was like, well, I'll just get better eventually, you know? Like, hopefully.
I feel like Elhokar, I don't know, him coming out to, like, talk to Kaladin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, asking, he seemed like he was asking for advice. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I was reading it in a too harsh a light.
It's easy to hate on Elhokar because he is just so bad, but...
Right. And then even during this
I like
meeting...
it that he's at least trying a little bit.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, and it's interesting because he's talking to Kaladin, and Kaladin is, like, in the middle of it. He's thinking, he's like, I can kill him right now. Still thinking about it, honestly. I mean, Syl's dead. What's the harm?
Yeah.
And then he tells him, he's like, you could step down, and he's trying to, like, skirt him around this assassination attempt he knows is coming. Because if he steps down, well, then more or less does the same thing, right?
Yep.
Removes the useless limb, or however he keeps putting it.
And Elhokar says no step down from me.
Yep. And he's like, oh my goodness, wait a minute, Elhokar is like Tien was to me as Elhokar is to Dalinar, right?
Yeah. And I think that in that moment
makes a lot of sense.
When he had that realization, I think it's possible Kaladin kind of decided to keep Elhokar alive, right?
Yeah. No, it seems that way because
he wouldn't let Dalinar's Tien die. That would be horrible.
Yeah, exactly. And he makes a good point, you know, because he's saying like Tien died because he was bad at his thing, so they just sent him to his death, right? And that's exactly the same thing they're doing to Elhokar, and he's like, oh, no, this is wrong. I just had to relate it to a personal anecdote in my past to make sense of it.
I do worry, though, that maybe Kaladin has decided this too little too late.
Oh, too little too late, yeah, for
because,
sure.
at this point, Kaladin is chilling out in the barracks, and his leg is all messed up.
Yep.
And Moash is in there with shard plate and blades, surrounded by a guard, a retinue of his own choosing, and they have a whole plan to snipe the king with an arrow. And it's just a little bit unbalanced, you know?
right. Kaladin's like, maybe I should prevent that assassination attempt. I'm gonna go talk to my buddy Zale.
This would be a really good time for Syl to come back.
Oh yeah, this would. I mean,
now that he's
waiting.
decided to protect the king, that's something Syl would like.
It's gotta happen. She's not dead. She's just very wounded or something.
Yeah.
And he sees his friend hanging out when he goes to the barracks. I don't know.
So he goes and talks to Zyle, and I become convinced during this scene that Zyle is originally from another world in the Cosmere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Zyle said, have you been to the Pure Lakes? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Kaladin's like, no, I haven't been to the Pure Lakes. And Zyle says, the Pure Lakes remind me of home. And what I'm thinking is, why would he name some very far away place and not just ask Kaladin, have you been to the place I come from? Why would he not just say his home instead of the Pure Lakes,
if his home was the Pure Lake, he would just say that.
Yeah, or like even if his home was another place in Roshar, he would have just said that instead of the Pure Lakes.
Oh,
right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair reasoning.
So this makes me and also remember, this guy, he keeps hitting us with all of these like in this one he has some
metaphors.
line about like, are you thinking
that's
the
like
walls
painting the wall
painted blue or something? Yeah.
Yeah.
And none of the other characters are doing this. Like, we have characters from all over the world as far as I'm aware.
Yeah,
None of the rest
much.
of them are, coming up with dumb
metaphors.
Yeah. So I think Zyle's from another world.
Okay, yeah, I can get behind that. But which one?
Maybe I'll be able to shed some light on that after I read all of the other books, which I plan on redoing very soon.
Right. I wanna broach a subject that I've kind of avoided up to this point, but I know it's a thing, and if this is spoilers, we can take it out.
Okay.
But I know that somehow this world is related to stuff that happens in what's that book called with the color magic?
Warbreaker.
Warbreaker. Yeah. Like, I know those two books are more closely related than I'm led to believe at this point. Because something in the next book happens that is like a dead-on clue that this is in like the same world or something.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about it.
Wait, in the same world?
Well, not necessarily, but like there's crossover that's undeniable.
Is on the same planet as...
Well, I was thinking that originally, but... Right. Now I've had enough, I've seen enough interminglings of Cosmere in this book to be like, okay, that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't seen that before. But I'm thinking, I know that there's a clue in the next book that is definitely also in Warbreaker that is there's not two of this thing.
Okay.
There's no way. And so I'm just interested to see where that comes in. Because Lucas, our friend that has read, every book Brandon Sanderson has written, kind of implied that to me a little bit, that those two books were... That this series and Warbreaker are closely tied somehow. And...
Well, I think that this series kind of ends up being closely tied to probably all of their series.
Well, yeah,
by the end of the day, I think we're gonna get more and more hints to that effect.
His magnum opus, I suppose. So I don't know. I'm interested to see how that ties in. But,
yeah,
because the magic system on that world is crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty whack.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite one. Well, I don't know. Alamancy's probably the best one, but all of his magic systems are good. Anyway.
There was some line about how Voidbringers have no pattern.
Yep.
And that's my last note for the whole thing, because I was just...
Oh, wow.
I wasn't taking any notes.
Okay, so basically then we have the whole last chapter where they've made it to where they're less than a day out from the Parshendi base, so now the fighting's gonna start.
Yes.
And they're seeing the Alethi army is all assembled on the plains, and they're seeing out in the distance in this fog where the weeping is happening. It's a little more stormy than it usually is. And they see the glowing red eyes of the Parshendi, and they're like, oh boy, that's Voidbringers right there, straight up. And Valinor's like, yeah, what if it is? And we're going to fight him and save the world, all right? And, he pretty much, he gives this super cool speech like, "Yep, those are the Voidbringers. I'm not crazy. I told you this was gonna happen. We're gonna fight them and save the world and be awesome. And people are gonna write about us in the history books, and it's gonna be dandy."
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Okay, yeah, sure."
And the fighting starts.
Yep.
And
the Parshendi.
Shallan has a team assembled to go try to find this Oath Gate during the combat.
Right. That's kind of their insurance plan. If they start losing this, then they can all flee through the Oath Gate to Urithiru.
Yep.
Or at least that's Dalinar's hope. And all the Parshendi, they start singing the Storm Song, presumably the one that's going to start the High Storm to kill all of the Alethi.
Yep.
And a group breaks off to fight them because they know they have to engage right away, because R'lain is like, "Hey, you got to stop that song. I don't know what's going on, but it's very bad news."
Yeah.
And what? This is the last day of the Doomsday Clock. It's all coming together.
Bum, 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 bum.
Boys and girls.
And Szeth is on his way. Szeth is definitely flying in from somewhere.
Coming in hot. Yeah, the Parshendi, they have Sith lightning, but they can't exactly control it. They can just like conjure it and hope that it hits what they're wanting to hit.
Yeah.
So that's nice. At least they can't aim it. That'd be OP.
That'd be so OP.
So they're killing people, but Adolin is engaging them, and it hits the shard plate. And the shard plate's like, "Oh yeah, hit me with that lightning." You know, it's like designed to fight Voidbringers.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It takes it, and he doesn't die, which is great.
Yeah, solid. And this chapter pretty much ends up with them starting this big fight. But the very last line is important. Dalinar hears a voice. The voice is from the visions.
What does it say?
Not. The voice of the Almighty. "I'm sorry you're going to die this way."
Oh,
Oh, yikes. Is this his potential spren? That was like, you came in too soon, you came in too late? I don't know.
Is Dalinar about to die?
That would be so sad. I like Dalinar
said,
so much.
"I'm sorry you're gonna die this way." It did say he's gonna die.
Right.
And it was apparently the voice of the Almighty, so...
Right. Almighty seems like the kind of guy that knows what he's saying when he says stuff.
Also, I don't think the Almighty is a spren.
No, I mean, I guess we do. We're pretty sure this is the Almighty. But yeah, Dalinar, he's gonna die, and I accept it.
Yeah.
He's done his part,
I don't know. I want him. No, I think he's gonna live.
I'm saying
on Team Dalinar survives.
I'm saying I'm on Team Dalinar dies just so I can cope with it more if it happens.
Dalinar's gonna live. Syl is alive. Who else is dead? Tien is alive. Yasna is alive.
Okay, cool. On-screen death, but that's fine. Who else is dead? Hellerin, he's fine.
Hellerin's alive.
I really wanted Hellerin to be alive.
Shallan's parents are alive.
Yep, both of them.
Yep.
The strangling wasn't enough for Lynn.
Yeah, everyone's alive. Everyone's doing great. Everyone's doing
What
great.
doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and what does kill you makes you really strong.
Super strong. All right.
Well, hey, that's it.
I mean,
so are we gonna finish this book?
There we go. That's another thing.
What?
And yeah, next time we're just gonna finish the whole gosh darn book. Gonna be.
Man, it feels like, I don't know if it's the quarantine speaking or something, but it feels like this book went way faster than the first one.
Oh, really? I think it was about as many readings that we did.
No, yeah, I'm sure like the amount of like pages was probably even more than the first, but like the first one, I don't know, this felt like we finished this one like so fast. Like I remember distinctly hearing you say like, next time finish the book for the first one, and that seems like it was very recent.
Oh, sure. Yeah, well,
but
next time finish the book. And this next part is only going to be 33,000 words, so I don't think that's... Oh, wait. Sorry, I missed a couple thousand. 35,000 words, which I still think is not that long. No. And yeah, then we'll move on along. And guess what, John? I figured out something very exciting.
What's that?
I can throttle my YouTube uploads.
Oh.
Which means that I can do them during the day while my housemates are working. And as of this recording, I am going to be 4 uploads behind.
Yep. That's okay.
But it's okay because no one listens to this anyways, I don't think.
Yeah, that's alright.
Just put them all up.
One day we'll be wildly
back to back,
famous.
a little bit of a marathon.
When the apocalypse ensues, this will be the only piece of surviving media, and it'll be our religion, and we'll look for these books like they're the Bible. It's like Harry Potter and the sacred text.
Okay, yeah.
Cool.
Well, hey, thanks for listening, guys.
Hey, have a good one.
And if you think that Shalon has an extra arm that hasn't been mentioned yet, make sure to subscribe. If you think that Shalon only has 2 arms, then instead, comment.
I cannot tell you how much I hate the fact that I'm still in this call. I cannot express to you how much pain I feel in this moment.
All right. Hey, bye.